Let's get to the edge guys, some real big ticket guys in this group. What did you think about Danielle Hunter and his potential landing spots? Because I can't stop thinking about it.
Oh, why? Is there a certain spot in the NFC North you like that you might figure out for him? I don't know with the edge guys, because again, there's the Lions. Like anytime you want to just bring up any type of pass rush help, give Aiden Hutchinson and William McNeil, of course you're going to just think of the Lions. So really the two NFC North teams for Danielle Hunter is it's kind of where I end up kind of having him paired with the best. So that's kind of where I went with. Also, maybe some of the under the radar guys, maybe with the Cowboys as an auxiliary piece. But again, that is just when you have to get creative math as far as you get to free agent stuff. I'm actually curious what other fits that you have, because I'm sure you think of all the competition that the Bears might have for pass rush pieces.
There are three teams that I threw out aside from Chicago for Danielle Hunter. The Lions were the first one. I just think if they want to spend, it would make some sense. A big ticket item for the Lions on defense this offseason, I think, will probably happen, or at least they want it to happen.
It feels right.
It feels like the time to do it, right?
Yeah.
You have the financial flexibility. Some of the guys who are going to get expensive are not expensive yet. This feels like the time to take one of those swings, whether it's L'Jarius Sneed, a pass rusher, a defensive tackle, whatever. The Lions were there. Quiet team with this, the Colts.
The Colts have the Lions and cap.
Ton of money to spend. And even though they've gotten better production out of their front and those edges, I still think those are a lot of twos, and they're going to try to seek out a one somewhere along the line here, whether it's through free agency or the draft. And that's the thing about Danielle Hunter. Edge rushers like this don't typically hit free agency, but because he's a little bit older and because the Vikings are in this weird middle ground, that's how he hits the market. So that he's somebody that so many guys, as they hit free agency, it's why are they hitting free agency? What's wrong with them? This is typically a guy that's not worth spending on. I think him and Christian Wilkins, to me, are the exceptions within this class, where it's like, I'm willing to go to a certain price for these two dudes because I understand how this happened.
And Hunter's trajectory is so unique. So because he was so young when he entered the league, signed wonky contracts too.
Yeah.
And so that changes his kind of path of when he becomes free agent. So now
we need an oral history about how the Vikings convinced some of these guys to take those deals. Him, Thielen, Stephon Diggs, it all happened in succession.
Done it again. Yeah, I know. I'm very curious too. But no, but he's succeeded in different roles. That's another thing too. Guys have to see it sometimes and to translate. That helps so much. He hasn't missed too much time recently. That's another thing is why he gets to this point. But then he proved it and he's stayed healthy. So, but he does have the history pass. But like you said, this is a true dozen-plus sack guy. Now, we always talk about pressure rate and everything. He'll have that. He actually gets home. He's been productive in different types of defenses. Yeah, like you say, and he's 29. So even if you're getting that 3-year window, Vaughn was 34, I believe, when he got his huge deal, or 33.
Yeah,
that's the tail end of the contract that you're giving Danielle Hunter when Vaughn signed that deal. So it's not usually typical you got this.
I don't know if he fits them in terms of age, in terms of timeline. I think the Rams should be connected with every big name pass rusher. They've got financial flexibility. They have a glaring need there. So I would throw out them as well. But I still think, and I don't know if they're interested. Some of the rumblings that I heard talking to people, or maybe that they aren't, I still think Danielle Hunter makes the most sense in Chicago. They have all this money to burn. Not all this money. They've spent some of it, but they still have a lot of money to burn, and they have a definitive need on the other side for Montez Sweat. And I think stylistically, he's a perfect complement to what Sweat gives you on the other side. So there's a chance after the Sweat contract, after the Jalen Johnson extension, DJ Moore's making a ton of money, and some of the other needs they need to fill, they think it's a little bit too rich for them, but I still think it makes sense. Two other guys at edge that I think are going to get pretty sizable deals here, Bryce Huff and Jonathan Grenard. Any fits for those guys that made sense to you as you were trying to piece it together?
Well, Bryce Huff, to me, just because he is. So I had some stats on Huff and then Josh Uche, which I just want to share why he'll get paid. Because you're like, Bryce Huff, even though my Twitter account definitely knows who Bryce Huff is. There's 169 defenders the last 3 seasons to have 600 or more pass rush snaps. This is the top 5 in pressure rate. Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, Bryce Huff, Trey Hendrickson, and Josh Uche. That is why they're getting paid, is because they can get after the quarterback. They can affect the quarterback. Playing the run, optional. That's probably why you have to have the right role for him. But Bryce Huff
That's
to
why
me
I'm
is
curious what the market's going to look like for
right.
Bryce Huff.
It has to
Because
be
even from a pass rush perspective, he's an $18 million player. Can he hold up on early downs enough for you to justify that sort of deal?
it has to be in a situation like Okoronkwo went to, where it's like there's
Yeah.
already that ace that's already there, and you are the super secondary guy, the super role player, the super DPR designated pass rusher type. So that's why I didn't really have a good fit. It's that I understand why he'll get paid, and I really like these two players, Uche being the other one too, but I like Huff, of course, even better. It's just that they could put a good pass rush over the top and make it an elite one. It just has to be there. It's not an average pass rush to get it to good. I don't know if they could do that. It's more just to put them over the top and really make them like a weapon.
I like Uche to Jacksonville. We talked about this a bunch of different times. I think him as the third rusher within that group where you bump Trayvon Walker inside, you move Josh Allen around. That's the type of guy I think the Jags need. I think Bryce Huff's going to be a little too expensive for that role with Jacksonville. So I wonder where he ends up. With these guys, with these high-priced guys, especially along the defensive line, I think it's worth mentioning the Niners every single time. Yeah, and so with San Francisco, can they play Eric Armstead outside on early downs and bring Bryce Huff in as that let's turn it up third pass rusher, or can they afford that? So that's a team I would throw out. Washington needs pass rushers. They have a ton of money to spend, so that's the other one. And I think Grenard has kind of a similar set of teams, right? Does Grenard fit in San Francisco with the need they have in that other edge spot? Does he make sense in Washington? So I think both those guys will probably get around like $16 to $18 million a year. And I think the markets for them are probably pretty similar in terms of the teams that would need them.
Yeah. And Falcons, are they going to try to get a pass rush help? Because which has been the story of their franchise for a decade. So that was just another one. And Grenard is a potential fit that I like is the Lions too. Just because he's a two-way player.
I think a lot of things we said about Hunter. I think he would be like a step down from Hunter. If the Bears wanted to go after him, the Lions did. That makes sense.
I actually really like Grenard with the Lions. That was actually one of my more favorite fits that I had. Just because just his play style makes sense a lot. What they want to do too.
Favorite fit outside of that one for you at defensive end or edge rusher?
This is my hipster one is Jadeveon Clowney with the Cowboys. Just a different type.
Like that. Yeah, I actually like that a lot.
That's the mercenary for this year for them, and I just think it's a great stylistic fit for what they have. So that was one I kind of went with.
Mine's weird, but as soon as I thought of it, I couldn't stop seeing it. Andrew Van Ginkel to the Vikings.
Yeah,
right.
It has experience in it.
You have exactly. He was with Flores in Miami, and the way they used him in Miami this year, where he's off the ball a little bit, he's dropping coverage, like what the Vikings asked their edge guys to do, or at least one of them. I mean, they made DJ Wadham do some crazy shit last year, and Andrew Van Ginkel was actually positioned to play that way within this defense, and they have a needed edge. Both those guys, their starters are hitting free agency, so Van Ginkel to the Vikings is one that I just, again, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yep, I want to see that one. That one makes sense to me.
He was my favorite under the radar guy. I was just like, because I go, he's perfect in a lot of roles. He's played in, he really, any non-traditional 4-down defense is perfect for him. That's how I describe it. So you're Fangio, you're Flores, you're just all this funky stuff. Like, have him drop. Go Badgers. Van Ginkel's a good one.
I like Van Ginkel to the Vikings. A little breaking news, by the way. Our own Jordan Rodrigue reporting that Kevin Dotson back to the Rams on a 3-year deal. So we get our wish. Kevin Dotson going back to Los Angeles, where he played some phenomenal football last year. Any under the radar guys at the edge spots that you want to talk about?
Nope, got through. Van Ginkel's it. That was my under the radar one.
Two that I would throw out. And again, same teams, same universe. If you don't want to spend quite as much money, Dorance Armstrong from the Cowboys and AJ Epinesa from Buffalo. Epinesa had the best year of his career last year. And I've always loved the way that Armstrong plays. So the Dorance Armstrong, the two teams I would throw out, Houston and San Francisco. Again, if you want to shop one or two tiers below for a rotational edge piece, the way that he plays aligns with how they ask their guys to play. So that was one that jumped out to me. And I think Epinesa is just a worthwhile rotational guy for any team that needs a third rusher based on the way that he played last year in Buffalo.
Nope. Great calls. Espinoza has had his best year. And I think too is, again, that's a valuable role to play. If you're a traditional 4-down, like defensive end, like true defensive end, that's in vogue right now with some of these defenses. So it's like that. He has
always need more of them.
Yes. because it just go, and that's what the Bills made a living on, and he's part of that rotation. So, no, great call.